All right, all right, all right. Um, what is going on, creatives? I hope we are all doing good. All right. Yeah. How are we all doing? I hope I'm audible. If you guys can hear me, can you please drop a message and let me know? All right. If you can hear my voice, kindly drop a message and say, yes, I can hear your voice. Right? Beautiful. All right. So I'm excited to share part of my moves where achieving successful design is concerned. All right. I know so many creatives are always fighting for knowing how to use background. All right. So I'm going to be sharing some of the uh, things to consider whenever you're working on design project and you see an image that look interesting to you and you want to use the image in your project. All right. Yeah. So during the from concept to Canva training I did 2 weeks ago, someone was asking how I normally play with background, and that's what inspire what I'll be teaching you guys today. All right. But before we start, I need us to do something together. All right. I know we all have platforms where we have designers. Can we all share this meeting with other designers so they can also be part of this meeting? All right. It's always good to be nice people. All right. So please let's share this meeting with people. All right. Let's share the link with other creatives and let them also be part of us today. Okay. All right. So I'm trying to share the link with the people in the group that I belong to. So I'll be glad if you guys can also do the same thing. Okay, we're starting shortly. All right. Okay, um but before we start, all right, I need to quickly share some very important tips with you before we start putting together the how to use the background. Okay. Before working on any projects, or let me say before you use any background, there's something you need to always have in mind. All right. There's a principle of design that you need to always make sure you consider whenever you are playing with background. And that principle of design is the contrasts. All right. The contrast. Please, if you can see my screen, I will appreciate if you can drop a message and say, I can see your screen. Okay. All right. So contrast is very important. Contrast is key. Contrast is what give life to your project. All right. So I'm going to be showing you guys today how I normally use this principle of design to make my background or to make my project up with the use of background. All right. Thank you. I can see your message. All right. So I have some backgrounds I randomly pick from my computer here, and I'm going to quickly show you guys how I play with the background. So I'm going to first start with the use of frame. All right. So there are times where, you download background from the internet and you'll find out that the frame of the background is not really the frame for the project you are asked to work on. And this can be very challenging. All right. Designers always go like, how am I going to make the background feel the space without, losing the quality of the background or distorting the look of the background? So let's say, for example, I'm working on a project for a client that wants to post the design on his or her Instagram page, and the client requested for a portrait frame. So I'm going to use the Instagram portrait frame here, which is 1440 by 1080. All right. Yeah. And I'll make my resolution 200. And the reason why I'm using 200 here is I really want to have that sharp quality where, the project is concerned. So I'm going to leave every other setting as is, and I'm going to click on the create button here. So I have this background here. All right. So I'm going to drag this and drop here like so. So I'll position this here. All right. And I'm sure you guys can see that we have this white space here. All right. So we need to fill this white space. I know some of you already know what to do here. And for those of you that don't know how to do this, this is how to do it. So I'm going to make a copy of this. Now, there are several ways you can do this. You can always scale the image. All right. Like so. All right. And there are times where you may not, want to scale the image because you like the fact that you can see the other pattern on the image. Okay, so what you can do here is to make a copy of the image. So I'm hitting Ctrl J now. I'm using Photoshop here. Now, for those of you who use other application, you can still repeat the same move. It's just that you won't be able to do this, applying of the shortcut thing that I'm doing here. All right, so I'm going to I've already made a copy of this, and I'll position this here. So this is what I mostly do. I'm going to activate the free transform with Ctrl T and right click and say rotate 180 degree. All right. And I'm going to right click again and say flip horizontal. Then I'll position this here. So what I do most of the time is that I position this to overlap on this like this and turn down the opacity of this a bit and make sure this overlap on this. So I'm actually looking at this shape here, and I'll go back to 100, and I'm going to add a layer mask to this. Select the brush tool and make sure my foreground color here is set to black, and I'm going to select the brush tool. Then I'm going to increase my brush size. All right. So I'm going to increase my brush size. Then I'm going to fade this a bit like that. So watch how I'm going to fade this. So I'm not going to fade straight. I'm going to fade like this. All right. And change this to white and make this visible. All right. Like that. And also make this side here visible. Make this here. Okay. So I'm going to take this side out, switch to black, and gently take this out like that. All right. So I'm going to turn this down a bit, because when you're doing this, all right, you need to do it in a way that people won't notice that you acted this drama. All right. So I don't want people to notice this. So I'm just going to put this back like that. And we can take this out like that. I believe you all get the idea. All right. So this is okay for now. And so how do we now play with this background where placing text is concerned? So let's say I'm asked to put a title that say African style. All right. For this type of background, okay, there are some characters you're not supposed to use for backgrounds like this. I notice designers always make this mistake. When you're using a type on this background, avoid type like type with thin style. All right. So if I type Africa, All right. If I put African here, like that, and I use a light or thin style, you'll see that even if I change this to white, uh, it won't be that visible. Why? Because the busyness of the background is affecting the visibility of the information I will place on the foreground. And that's another thing you need to check. If your background is loaded with patterns, like there are too many things playing in the background, the type of character you have to use should not be light character. The type of character you have to use should be something bold, like this. All right. So I'm going to add space between the characters. Yeah. And I'll make a copy of this. So I'm just going to call this African star. Like that. Okay. So I'm just going to position this here for now. Like that. So, but right now, this is still not visible, and the reason why this is still not visible is because our background is really affecting the visibility of the text. So what we can do to really make this visible is to first look at what we can take from the background to make this visible. And this is very important. Always pay attention to your background. So if you look at this background here, you notice there's a particular color that gave life, that really made each of the pattern visible in this project. I'm sure if I ask every one of you that what is that color that made each of the pattern with different colors visible in this project, I know you guys can say it. Or should we try ourselves? So if you can tell us what color really made all the colors on this background pop, please, I will appreciate it if you can drop it in the comment section. There's a particular color that really made the pattern here, that separated all the colors that we have on the patterns. There's a particular color that separated the colors, or that separated all the patterns we have in this background. So what is that color? If you know the color, I need a fast response here. If you know the color, kindly drop a message in the chat box. No, somebody say brown. No, it's not brown. There's a particular color that's separated, and that's another thing you need to learn to do. You need to learn the habit of paying attention to the background. Look at what you can take from the background to spice your project, and that's what I'm going to be teaching you guys today. So there's a particular color here that made contrast, balance on all the patterns that we have in this background. Why is everybody calling green? No, it's not green. People, take a look at the image. Maybe I should just take the text out so you guys can see it. Look at this. There's a particular color that separated all the colors. What is that color? Please, can somebody tell us? All right. So if I count 3 and I didn't get the right answer, I'm going to pick the color myself. So 1, 2, 3. All right. So, it's not yellow. So the color here that separated all the colors here is this color here. It's black. If you look at the pattern, you see we have more of black on the patterns. All right. So the work of the black here is to separate the colors, is to create that contrast between the colors for us to see the patterns clearly. And that's why we have all this black here. I know the reason why so many of you did not notice that the color is black is because we mostly don't count black as color like that. All right. And I need us to start avoiding this. Black is also part of the colors that we use in design. So black is what separated all the colors here. So what we're going to now do is to repeat the same black on our title here. So I'll position this here. Then I'll put this in a group, and I'll make a copy of the group by hitting Ctrl J. Then here I'll select the two texts, right click and say convert to shape. So I want to convert them to shape so I can add color to the stroke. So I'll come right here and use the same color, which is black. Then I'm going to increase my black here. Now look at how beautiful this is. But there's something I want to do here. I'm going to sample the color from the project in order to really make that unity in the project balance, because unity is also part of the principles of design you need to also make available when you're working on design projects. So I'm going to sample the color here and hit the OK button to make that unity balance there. Now look at how beautiful this is. So I decided to create a duplicate of the title in order for you guys to see the difference between when we have the stroke and when we don't have the stroke. So if I hide this now, you see, you can hardly see the title. And if I make this visible, now you see, we can see the title. All right. So that is for that. So let's go straight to our next type of background. All right. So I'm going to hide this, and I'll call this first design. I hope this is making sense to you. Please, if it's making sense to you, can I see you give this video a like, or this training a like? All right, before we get to the second project. Okay. All right. So don't forget, I said contrast is very important. Contrast is what you should be checking out for whenever you want to play, or whenever you're playing with your background. All right, so I have this other image. I'm going to create a new document now. Okay, and I'm going to make this 1000 by 1000, and I'm going to make this 200 and say create. Then I'm going to drag my next background and drop here like so, and make this bigger. Now, whenever you are placing element, this time we're placing image on background. All right, and I want to quickly say this to you guys. See, when you are placing image on your background, all right, unity and contrast is what you should be checking out for. Unity and contrast. In fact, even if you're placing text, unity and contrast is also what you should be checking out for. The reason why we decided to use this color as our stroke here is because we have that same stroke on the pattern here, and the same move is what we're about to do on this image here. So I have this trophy image I'm going to place here, and this should come right here, and I'm going to scale this down. But let's make it bigger. All right, so I'm going to position this here. So let's just position it here. All right, let's just position this here like that, and watch this. So because I have this glow effect behind on my background here, what I'm going to do is I'll move this to where I have my illustration. And the reason why it's always good to work this way is because you see this glow thing. All right, like, can I use the word radio here, because we have this dark area on the four corners of the frame. This vignette thing, or this glue thing that we have at the center of our frame here, is what why we always have it in our background, or why most designers always make sure they have this in their project, is they want to use, is mostly used to draw the attention of the viewers to what you want them to see first in your project. So there are times where you don't need to put it behind your image, that it will be behind the title. All right, so the design is your world. You are the one who have the power to decide whatever you think is best for the project. So I'm going to position this behind this because this is where I want it. And the idea behind placing this here is because I'm acting like I have a project I have to work on. So this is where I'm going to place my text. All right, so if I let's just move this out a bit, and I'm going to make this really big, like so. Correct. All right, this is good. All right, cool. So then what I'm going to do now is to fill this side of my background. So I'll make a copy of this, right click and say rasterize image, and I'm going to select the rectangle marquee tool and draw a marquee shape right there, and hit Shift F5, and I'm going to select the OK button. So the reason why this is easy for me is because, I've been using Photoshop now for years. All right. Now I'm seeing some errors here, which is not really, helping me. So, and that's another thing you need to also check whenever you are putting together the elements in your project. So what I'll do is to create a new layer and fix this side that look as if something is not right. So what I'll do is to achieve unity here. So I'm going to sample a color from here, which is the holding of Alt on my keyboard. And I'm going to go to my brush setting here and select the soft round brush and make this big. So I'm using a graphics tablet. So I'll turn my flow out. I'm going to activate my pen pressure option here. And if you don't have a graphics tablet, you can always play with your flow. All right. But I would advise every one of you to invest in getting a graphics tablet. It's for your own good. Okay. All right. So I'm going to softly apply the brush here. All right. Let's still make this a bit bigger. And I'm just going to fit this here like that. Now this is better. Now let's give room for unity. All right. So we need to now first make this side of the trophy have the color that we have on this side of our background, because like I said, unity is very important. So what I'll do is I'm going to zoom in. All right. And I'm going to add a hue saturation and select the clip icon. All right. Then now look at the color we have here. So I'm going to create a new layer, select the brush tool and sample this color here. All right. Then I'll make this color and just make this here like that. All right. So I want to see this color on this side of the trophy. So I'm going to go to my hue saturation. I'm going to zoom in and go under the property tab here. So if you can't find your property tab, simply simply go to Windows and activate it here. Yeah, this is it here. All right. So what I'll do is I'm going to activate colorize, and I'm going to push this out and move my hue. Now I first adjusted the saturation because I really want to see the color, and I'm going to move my hue T. I get to this shade of color here, so I'm going to keep moving and keep moving. I think this is close to it. I think I oversaturated the image, so I'll push this down and let's see if I move this much. All right, so it's around here. Should be around here. All right, this is it. So let's see if I desaturate this a bit. This is better. So what I'll do is to hit Control I on my keyboard here to convert my layer mask to black and white, and make sure that my foreground here is set to white. And I'm going to bring back the hue / saturation there. And the other thing we now need to do is to now make this dust effect now reflect on the bottom part of our image here. Then there's another thing we need to do. If you look at the highlights part of this image here, you notice there's a particular color there. So we need to also make the color reflect on the trophy. So this is the color that looks more bright in the background. That's another thing you need to check. Just check out for the color that look bright on the background and apply that color to the highlights that you have on your illustration. That's another trick that so many of you still don't get, and I'm teaching you. So, and if you're if you enjoy watching this, can I see you hit the like button and also drop a message? All right, it's very important. I want to be sure if you guys are learning. All right, because what we're doing here is we're trying to make the we're trying to blend the illustration to the background to make it look like they belong together. And that is why that is where Unity now comes in, where achieving successful design project is concerned. All right, so I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to hold on Alt and clip this to the illustration, all right, because I don't want this to go outside of the illustration. So I'm going to softly apply this color that I sampled from this side of the background. Now, for those of you that don't know how I did this, I'm holding down Alt now, and I'm going to sample the color, and I'm going to softly apply this. No, sorry, we're supposed to be on the software brush. All right. So this is how I play with background. So I'm going to sample this. I'm going to apply the brush here. Now I'm going to blend this because I only want this to be on the highlight part of the image. Let's still apply it here also. And I'm going to double click on this to activate my layer style. All right. Then we're going to take this away from the shadow and make this only reflect on the highlights that we have on the image, like so. This is good. And now if you look at the dark part of the image of the background, you notice we have this shade of blue. I know so many of you notice that. If you look at it, we have this blue color here. So if I come right here, you see this is the blue. This is the color of the shadow that we have on the background. So the color also need to reflect on the trophy, and this should reflect on the area where we have black on the image. So to do this, I'm going to use let's hide that layer. I'm going to use color balance. So I'm going to go to the color balance here and click on the clip icon to clip this to just only the illustration there, and let's start doing some color grading here. So we're going to start with playing with the shadow on the image. So I'm going to go to my tone here and change this to shadows. All right, so let's start mixing the color. So first off, I'm going to move this here and move this here. So I'm looking at the color that we have on the background as I play with this. So this should be behind this. All right, then go back to shadows. So we're going to move this here, and this is going to come right here. All right, then put this here and go a bit to green. All right, not too much, just a bit to green like that. And let's have more of the blue. Okay, like that. So go straight to the mid-tone and do the same move. Go. Yeah, this is it. So we're going to move this here, and this is the color I'm looking for. But right now, our gold image is now looking dull. So we need to blend this again, but we're going to take this away from the highlight and make this appear only on the shadow. So I'm going to double click on the layer to activate my layer style like that. And we're going to take this away from the highlights. Should be away from the highlight, not the shadow. So we're going to take this away from the highlights like that and break the slider to smooth this. Now you see this is already looking more like the trophy and our image belong together. So if I hide this now, let's see the before and after. So this is the after and this is the before. I'm sure you guys can see the difference there. Then the other part is the color here, because if you look at the dust effect we have on the floor here, all right, it looks more green like. All right, so we need to apply this touch of green tone to the trophy. So what I'm going to first do is to add curve to the image. Why? Because the image is looking too bright for me. So what I'll do is I'm going to go to curve adjustment and then make this a bit darker. All right, and make this a bit darker, but I don't want this to affect this bottom part here. So I'm going to use, let's talk about this else, and I'm going to add my background color, which is black now, to the layer mask by hitting Ctrl and backspace and hit Ctrl D. All right, so what I'll do is I'll go to my adjustment tab here and activate color balance and say click on the clip icon, and I'm going to hold on alt, drag this and drop here. So I duplicated the layer mask that we have on the curve and apply it to the color balance here, because I don't want the color balance to affect, you know, the bottom part of the trophy. So I'm going to hit Control I to reverse the mask, and let's just add that touch of green to the trophy here. So I'll start with mid-tone, because yeah, the mid-tone is always the tone between the highlight and the shadow, all right, which is this side of the image. So I'm going to first apply yellow. Let's just see if we apply yellow. Oh, okay, sorry, I'm doing this the wrong way. I'm going to hit Control I. All right, I was not supposed to hit Control I because I don't want this to touch the base of the trophy. All right, so I'm supposed to be on white here. All right, good. So let's start with the mid-tone. So I'm going to add yellow like that, and just give this a touch of green like so. And let's have some red, because if you look right here, I'm seeing some touch of, you know, red there. So I want that red to also appear on the image. And let's make this here like so. Let's see if I move this out like that. All right, then let's see if I go to the highlights and just push some yellow here. All right, and let's put some red there. Good. Now let's see the before and after. So for you guys to know that we're not actually wasting our time here. So if I hide everything here, you see there's this huge difference. This is the before and this is the after. Now let's make those sparkling dots that we have on the floor here to reflect on the trophy. So I'm going to add a layer mask, and I'm going to select the brush tool, go to my brush settings here, and I'll use the brush that I have here in that came with my Photoshop application. And the reason why I'm using this brush here is because if you look at the brush, you notice we have all these tiny dots on the brush. And what inspired this is because of all these tiny dots that we have on the floor here. So I'm going to make this smaller, and I'm going to change my I'm going to activate shape dynamic here and make my angle go bigger, because I want to have random rotation of the brush. So if I click now, you see the brush rotates. Can you see? Or let's just make this. I'm going to make it bigger so you guys can see. So if I make this real big, you see, if I click, the brush rotates. All right. So I want to have random rotation of the brush. That's why I activated that stuff there. All right. So let's start with this now. So I'm going to make this smaller, and I'm going to switch to black, because that's what we're going to use to delete part of the, you know, the image. All right. So I'm going to quickly click to take this out like that. Or let's just zoom in so you guys can see the effects. All right, because, you know, moves like this, they have what they do to your project. These are part of what professionals do. All right, the reason why they do this is to make the project look interesting to the eye. And that's the reason why at times as designers, we see design that look interesting to us, and we'll go, what exactly is making this design look so nice to me? This is what most designers do. All right, they don't joke with this. And if you can start working this way, guys, I'm telling you, you start seeing yourself performing wonders in design. All right, yeah. So there's another thing I want to do here. All right, so I'm going to create a new layer. I really want to make it look like, yes, there's that unity here. So I'm going to make this smaller and sample this color from here, and then apply it to this side. Or you know what we'll do? I'm going to use the hard brush, go to spacing, go to shape dynamic, and scattering here. Shape scattering, make this scatter, and make this smaller like that. We go to shape dynamic now and play with the shape. The size jitter. So the size jitter is going to give us different size of the brush. Okay. So yeah. So scattering again, still going to make this much. And the space should also be that's good. So now I'm going to apply this here. So the reason why I'm doing this is to give that, this effect of the dust on the floor here to really make it look like, yes, it's actually real, and the illustration is part of the project. All right. So if this happen to be a client's work, I'm really going to spend time on this and make this more interesting. And if you like, you can sample another color to really give that random effect of the particles there. All right, please guys, start working this way. If you work this way, trust me, you are going to help the look of your project. All right, and if you are having fun watching this, please, can I get a like and a comment? All right, if it's making sense to you, kindly drop a comment. Now if I zoom out, now look at how successful and should I use the word blend our image is here. All right, and look at how beautiful this is. And if you really want to make the contrast more stronger, there's another thing you can do to your background here. I'm going to activate curve here and increase my curve like that, and hit Control I to reverse the mask, and let the brush tool, and I'll go under my brush setting here and select the soft round brush, make the spacing go back to 1. Then for the shape dynamic, actually I don't need that, scattering should go off. I only need my transfer option active. Let's go to the brush tip, yeah, like that, and transfer should also be active, and I can now apply. Now this should be on white, and I can apply my brush there to really create that contrast there between my background and my illustration. But right now we're having more white there, so we need to bring back that yellowish or greenish color. All right, so I'll go back to my curve and go to property, and I'll go to blue here now, because the opposite of blue is yellow. So I'm going to move this down to go back to yellow like that, and I think we are good now. And now by the time you start placing your text to this side of the project, trust me, your project is going to look interesting to the eye. All right, so I have more how to use background tips I'm still going to share with you guys, but for you not to miss this, if you have not subscribed, remember to hit the subscribe button, and let's help other creatives, guys. Share this video with anyone that you believe that need this video. Let them also learn from this tutorial, and watch out for my next training on how to use background. And if you learn anything, kindly drop a message, let me know what you learned from this training. And if the training makes sense to you, please drop a message, let me know. I always like to hear from you guys, because I like when I teach people and I get their response. Okay, all right, now before I go, if you have questions you want to ask me, I'm going to give you just 3 minutes to drop your question in the chat box, and I'm going to read the question and give you the answer that I believe is best for the question. But while we're waiting for the question, I want to quickly drop some design tips here. You see, graphic design is not hard. Design is easy. All right, but as a designer, what makes you different from people who are not designers is the part of paying attention to details and also understanding the problem you are asked to solve. If you are good at this, I'm telling you, you'll see yourself finding design interesting. Okay, so start paying attention to details. If you notice, the two how to use background training that I explained in this video came from the part of paying attention to details. All right, so if you can learn to always work this way, you will see yourself achieving successful design with achieving successful design by paying attention to details. Okay, so I have a question from uh, Davidson. And the question is, could you possibly show us how to do this with Affinity, sir? All right. So I've not started using Affinity for my design because there are some things I noticed with Affinity that I think is still not okay for me as a designer, because I do more of print design, and I can see that Affinity is still not available for that part of doing print design. I'm talking of rendering my design to a PDF format file. So that's the reason why I still did not, started. That's why I've not started using Affinity Design. Yeah, but I'm still a Photoshop user for now. All right. So the next question is from Kingdom Living. And the question is, all this process for the background alone. Now I understand why it feels okay for me to charge less. I don't pay attention to details. Yes, start paying attention to details. It's very, very important. Another question is from, and this is going to be my last question. It, Sinachi, yeah. The question is, when I'm making a design, what question do I ask myself about the problem before picking the background? I think the problem with me is that I don't carry out the necessary design thinking. All right, beautiful. So Sinachi, I have a training on my channel that I believe will really help you where solving this problem. All right, the training is from canvas to um, from design to canvas, right? I think that's the title of the training. All right, but it's there. The banner of the training, I have my hand close to my face with a pencil and a graphics tablet. Watch the training. Yeah, I know it's a 3 hours training, but it's more like a design course. All right, it's like a training, like a design course. So go watch it, and I believe it will bless you and help you where solving this problem is concerned. All right. So Kingdom Living is saying, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Kingdom. I appreciate that. Alana is saying, I will forever use Photoshop. All right. So yeah, concept of canvas. Thank you so much, Ebenezer. So the title of the training is Concept to Canvas. So you can go watch it and see how to know the right elements to use for your project, the right question to ask your client and yourself before starting any design project. All right. Yeah. Okay. So we need to go, guys. Okay. Let's just take this one more question. So somebody is saying, how do you maintain the layer style when designing for print purposes in Photoshop? The layer style. How do I maintain the layer style? Wow. Sorry. Told me I don't understand the question. You're asking, how do I maintain the layer style when designing for print? The same way you play with the layer style for social media design is still the same way you play with the layer style for print. There's nothing different there. All right, so it's still the same way. There's nothing I do different. Do you understand? Yes. All right, so we need to go. All right. Thank you everyone for your time. And I'm still going to be doing more trainings like this for you guys to watch. All right. But do your best. Try not to miss any of my training. Trust me. Every time you see me go live, know I'm about to launch something that will change your life forever as a designer. All right. So do your best to always make it to my training. Thank you everyone. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.